Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage the Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, His Excellency Meles Zenawi.
President Bush and First Lady Laura Bush, we actually have virtually the whole Bush family here, and rightly so. Thank you for coming. My dear friend and former President Festus Mogae of Botswana, the indefatigable fighter against HIV/AIDS in Botswana and Africa, Excellencies, First Ladies, religious leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to start by extending to all of you our very warm welcome to Addis Ababa and the 16th International Conference on AIDS and Sexually Transmitted Infections in Africa. It's a great honor for Ethiopia to be hosting this conference. ICASA 2011 marks 30 years into the epidemic, 10 years since the landmark UN General Assembly Summit on HIV/AIDS, and 5 years since the 2006 high-level meeting, which reaffirmed global political commitment to ensuring universal access to AIDS prevention, treatment, care, and support services. Over the last decades, 3 decades, AIDS has claimed the lives of millions of young Africans and orphaned millions of our children. As the epicenter of the epidemic, Sub-Saharan Africa continues to bear the brunt of the devastating demographic, social, developmental, and security impacts of the epidemic. But ICASA 2011 comes at a time when there is a glimmer of hope ahead. Over the last couple of decades, there have been real gains on all fronts of Africa's AIDS response. Since 1999, the rate of new infections has significantly declined in many countries in our region, including here in Ethiopia. Prevention is working. Effectively eliminating mother-to-child transmission of HIV is now a feasible goal within our reach. Millions of Africans requiring treatment are accessing life-saving antiretroviral therapy. And we have seen the numbers of those on treatment rise dramatically, particularly over the last 5 years, thanks to the combined impacts of domestically generated resources and international funding mechanisms such as Global Fund to Fight AIDS, TB and Malaria, and the United States Presidential Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, PEPFAR. The lives of thousands of individuals, families, and communities have been transformed by this unprecedented support. On behalf of all the beneficiaries, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all our international partners for making available these life-saving resources. We are also very pleased to have this very special occasion to express our deep appreciation to the pioneer of the historic PEPFAR, the single largest commitment ever made by any nation to combat a single disease, the 43rd President of the United States of America, His Excellency President George W. Bush. President Bush, we are delighted that you could honor us with your presence at ICASA 2011. Your historic initiative has saved millions from suffering and deaths caused by HIV infection and continues to be a leading force in our fight against the epidemic. I would like to also thank President Obama for building on this novel initiative. But despite the progress registered in the AIDS response over the last 10 years, a lot remains to be done in order to halt and reverse the epidemic once and for all. Many in need have yet to access life-saving treatment. PMTCT coverage remains low in many sub-Saharan African countries, and far too many young people still lack the knowledge and tools they need to protect themselves from HIV infection. Here in Africa, we are acutely aware of just how fragile our gains on the epidemic still are. We recognize the need to continue working with our international partners in intensifying our efforts towards universal access. And I want the Chief of Staff of this huge army, Michel, to understand that his message is heard loud and clear. We must also urgently devise innovative African-led approaches for stepping up the fight and defeating this disease over the coming years. Hence, the theme of ICASA 2011, Own, Scale Up, and Sustain. Indeed, this gathering provides a special opportunity for renewing our collective commitment to prevention, the virtual elimination of mother-to-child transmission throughout our region, and putting all those still in need of treatment on life-saving ARVs. Going forward, it's clear that achieving scale and sustainability will be our biggest challenge in winning the fight. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in Ethiopia, we recognize that the encouraging strides we have made in controlling the epidemic in recent years would simply not have been possible without aggressive social mobilization and strong community engagement enabled through our flagship health extension program. Throughout our country, over 34,000 health extension workers have been educating communities about HIV/AIDS and other major health problems. They have introduced regular community meetings which have proven to be an effective mechanism for continued dialogue and information exchange among community members. And this has been key to ensuring real community ownership of our AIDS response. In collaboration with our diverse international partners, we have also been making steady progress in making treatment and care accessible to hundreds of thousands of Ethiopians, while also fostering self-sufficiency among those affected through successful income-generating and support activities. Yet, a lot remains to be done in order to ensure universal access to all services in line with the commitment we made at the June 2010 UN General Assembly high-level meeting on AIDS. This conference is expected to make a significant contribution to the advancement of our ongoing efforts here in Ethiopia and to the overall AIDS response throughout our continent. The exchange of new scientific knowledge and best practices from different African countries will be key to ensuring that our scaling up and sustainability efforts are evidence-based. Leadership at all levels and across all sectors must be reinforced if we are to build our recent progress and uphold our commitments to meet our MDG targets. We hope also that innovative and effective strategies, policies and programs will be discussed and taken forward by countries in scaling up their prevention and control of HIV/AIDS related STIs and other epidemics including TB and malaria. In closing, I would like to express our gratitude to those who gave our country the opportunity to host this important meeting. I wish also to thank the conference organizers and all those who contributed to this event. Once again, Excellencies and distinguished guests, I would like to extend to you our warmest welcome to ICASA 2011. I wish you all fruitful deliberations over the coming days and a very pleasant stay in Ethiopia. I thank you. Here, and rightly so. Thank you for coming. My dear friend and former President Festus Mogai,
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage the Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, His Excellency Meles Zenawi.
President Bush and First Lady Laura Bush, we actually have virtually the whole Bush family of Botswana, the indefatigable fighter against HIV/AIDS in Botswana and Africa. Excellencies, First Ladies,